So I finally figured out how to get this to work. Um, so today I decided to make a video talking about the books that I've read this year so far, too, and it's not even the end of January, so we are so up. Um, Last year I read a total of 0 books, which was humiliating to me. And I decided that this year I'm gonna make a change. I will be better and I will read more. So, anyway, I have, like I said, I've read 2 books. I read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, and Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. So, I read Magnolia Parks probably like the first week of January. So I'm not gonna lie, everything's a little bit fuzzy. What's not fuzzy though is the feeling of this book pissed me the fuck off. Jesus Christ. So I jotted down a few very disorganized notes to kind of help me focus a little bit, but regardless, they're still all over the place. It's just like flashes of what I remember, and what I remember was mostly fucking infuriating. Okay. So, the book Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Should we start with the plot or the characters? Let's go with the characters. Little introduction. Warning, there will be spoilers. So we have Magnolia, BJ, Christian, Tom England, and a bunch of others. It's a lot of fucking people, to be honest, and they all kind of like act the same. So it's like very, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks after I read this book, like it's hard to distinguish them all. So Magnolia, she's our main character. She's pretty much like a socialite, very like Serena Vanderwoodson, and for some reason everyone's in love with her. I'm not quite sure why, because she doesn't seem like the nicest, like, I don't know. I guess she's like really pretty and apparently like chill. But yeah, for some reason like everyone is in love with her, which period, girl. And we have her main love interest, BJ. So BJ is also someone who apparently everyone is in love with or infatuated with or wants to get freaky with, which I don't understand considering his name is fucking BJ. But I guess he just, I don't know, he's got it like that. Then we have Christian. Christian is BJ's best friend. And he seems like a sweet guy, but the more you see him, it's kind of like he has this woe is me attitude, like, ugh, I can't believe it. Like, very pick me boy. We have Tom England. Tom England, from the sounds of it, fine as fuck. I have a boyfriend. Okay, anyway, Tom England, apparently a very attractive gentleman. Rich, like kind gentleman. Yeah. Anyway, he in the book recently lost his brother, and he's got a bit of a situation, but very sweet guy, like, yeah. Moving on to the others category. From what I can remember, there's a dude named Henry. I think he's BJ's brother, and like I thought they were like a set of twins. I don't know if they're twins. Um but Paley and Perry, I think her name was Paley, and I think Paley's the girl and Perry's the boy. I'm not sure, I'm telling you. They get a little bit fuzzy. They kind of talk about Paley and Perry like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, so that's why I'm a bit confused. And like I said, Paley and Perry are talked about like a duo, like Magnolia's usually with both. And Henry is Magnolia's best friend, and once again, BJ's brother also. So, the plot or the premise of the book is that we have Magnolia, right? And Magnolia is in love with BJ. Like, they have had a thing since they were like super young, you know, they were each other's first everything. And one day, BJ decided to cheat on Magnolia. Dun dun dun. And you know what? That is terrible. Very terrible. But from like reading like the first couple of books, like you see that like connection that they have, and like it's like you're like, okay, I get it. Like the tension is crazy. But then you notice that when Magnolia says that BJ will go out and like have intercourse with like 1,000,001 girls, and then go back to her, she was serious, because every chapter after chapter 1 pretty much is like BJ goes out to a party with the boys and he does something with a girl, and Magnolia finds out, and Magnolia's heartbroken because she thought that BJ and her were a thing, which they are, but they're not. So Magnolia is heartbroken, and she's like, BJ, I can't believe you've done this again. And then for some reason they keep texting each other, and then everything is well, all is well, and the friends are like, I knew it, guys. You just can't let go of each other. Kind of like it's fate or something. And then the first time that happened, I'm like, okay, like move on. Like, that's crazy that that's happened so early. And then that exact same thing happens a second time, and you're like, okay, well, like second time in like 10 chapters, like, okay, I think that's it. Like, we're gonna get into like a different conflict soon, aren't we? And then it happens 3, 4, 5 more times, and it just started getting fucking exhausting. So yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the book. Magnolia's in love with BJ. BJ's in love with Magnolia. However, he cheated and continues to mess around with other girls, and Magnolia's just there, and everyone claps. So there's like a lot of side plots that kind of like drive the main plot of BJ and Magnolia. So like I mentioned, there's a character named Christian. Christian is one of the many men that is in love with Magnolia. So apparently once BJ cheated on Magnolia, Magnolia was like, fuck you. And Christian and her got a little close in the romantic sense. And apparently it was like really good. But no one could be BJ to Magnolia. So that ended after Christian got pretty much jumped by BJ, which is not understandable, because chill. But like, okay, I get it. Like, your best friend is with your ex-girlfriend, but also you cheated on said ex-girlfriend. So I don't know, I feel like that's kind of how the cookie crumbles. So everyone just lets Christian get beat up from the friend group, which I think is like really sick. And it's like a pattern with BJ to like beat people up on behalf of Magnolia, and like that makes Magnolia tingle in places. So yeah. And then on the 100th time within 100 pages that BJ messes around with another girl, Magnolia runs into Tom England. Tom England. So he's like presented as this like super like suave, kind of like James Bond type of fella. And he proposes to Magnolia that they act as each other's foxholes because, plot twist, Tom England is trying to stop himself from getting it on with his dead brother's wife. Isn't that crazy? And Magnolia is trying to not get it on with love of her life, BJ. So they start this kind of like fake dating thing, and I'm like, oh, like, this is the plot. This is the plot. Like, this is a story about how Magnolia fake dates this man and falls in love with like a better man. Like, this is the story of how she moves on from BJ. I was like, I can so get behind this. Like, I understand now why it was like 100 and something pages of back and forth with BJ. So you're as exhausted as her, and you're able to move on and understand why she has to move on into a healthier relationship. So she's like dating Tom England, but every time you're like, we're finally getting somewhere, she gets back into the same freaking position with BJ. And it's so annoying. And it kind of feels like the author want like, it's kind of giving fan fiction in the sense, or like, I don't know if anyone watched Jane the Virgin, but you know the clips of Jane the Virgin when she's like typing and like writing a story, and she's like feeling herself, right? That's what it was kind of feeling like. She had so many ideas of how BJ could cheat on Magnolia and how Magnolia could find out. That would be like super like cool or whatever, and she just couldn't decide on limiting that to like 3 or 4 scenarios, so she just kept like all 100. So yeah, it would be like falling in love with Tom England but choosing BJ, but BJ's like a piece of shit, but going back to Tom England. So it was like a lot of that again, which is making me feel repetitive because the book was so repetitive, and that's all I remember from the book. So anyway, and then like a lot of alluding to the characters being like mafia family, but like not relevant. So I'm assuming there's like spin-offs and stuff like that about them being a mafia family, period. And then BJ starts using substances again. And then he makes it seem like Magnolia's fault. So just another point for him, I guess, in whatever you want to give him the point for. And then we get to Tom England finally being freed from the shackles of Magnolia Parks, and good for him, he made it out. Deserved better. And Magnolia chooses to be with BJ. The one part that ate though, it was her BFF. That part, had this book, I'm telling you, had this book been 200 pages shorter, I would have beaten that up. Had you taken out so much of fucking the back and forth, good. Like, that was so crazy. It was the BFF, and she found out through the fucking perfume, bitch. That was so Shakira of her. Shakira in the fucking Jam, how she found out she was getting cheated on? Yep. So good. So good. There was also something else I wanted to say. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. That was really good. That was really good. What would have made the ending better though? Magnolia, I'm so sorry. BJ runs out into the street. BJ gets run over. BJ dies. Oh my god, this book would have been so much fucking better if BJ fucking died. Because when I found out that this was a series, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean this is a series and BJ's alive? So that means that BJ's gonna be endgame. Yeah, that would have made the book so much better if BJ fucking died. And the rest of the series is like like the whole thing is like, can love kill you? How many loves do you have in this life? The missed opportunities to not kill BJ. That was insane. But I digress. So for that reason, I would give this book 2.5, 3 big booms. Magnolia Parks. I liked the potential. I liked how it was written. Not gonna lie, I was very entertained in the tea and like the glitz of it all. But too much. Like I said, big reveal 8 is so good. And BJ should have died. And she should have. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, 2.5 to 2.8 big booms. Okay, and now we're almost at 20 minutes. So we're gonna do a super quick analysis of Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5, which is probably a book I should have read in high school, but I somehow did not. So I pretty much binge read this whole thing yesterday, which is also not good for my comprehension, but I will say what I have to say off the dome. Was it the funnest read? No. But like, I got the message. I think he did a really good job of sticking with, like, it's written in a way that makes sense to deliver the message. Did it annoy me? Yes, but like, I got it. Like, not everything has to be enjoyable to be good, I feel. And that's how I feel about this book. So like the jumping between time and all that was really good to kind of show that life is just like a collection of moments, and especially for someone who has experienced war the way he did, young age or old doesn't really matter, but like for him to have had to serve in a war such as World War II at the age of like 21 and stuff, how that kind of marks his life and how he navigates life and how he has to deal with like PTSD and kind of having to go back to those moments by being unstuck in time. And yeah, like he did a good job. I also really like the ending, how it was kind of like the war just ended and he was just kind of free to go, and it was just like, oh, that's the end. And it's like, yeah, that's the whole point. There's not like a guns a blazing, like everyone gets a Glock and like escapes the Nazis or anything. It's like, no, like, nothing really about war is glorious. Like, sometimes it just happens. Like, sometimes things just end and you realize that it was for absolutely no reason. Like, he spent so much of it just being a prisoner of war. And for what? Like, for what? Like, there were senseless deaths, like Edgar Derby, who stole a bowl. Literally, war was about to end and he stole a bowl and they executed him. What was it? Weary, the weird sadist with the knives, who's just a child who had a family who cared about him so much that they were constantly like sending him supplies, and that he was like stocked up on everything he could possibly need, to be stripped of that and just like die a meaningless death in a boxcar. Like, the fact that even the enemies uh, that they're like taught, oh, these are like dangerous, vicious men, blah blah blah. Many of them, like he said, they were kids like me, like a 16-year-old boy who's a Nazi. Like, so many times people are used for agendas that have really nothing to do with them, all because people in power have power that they don't know what to do with, and that's very sick. And it's, I don't know. So you know what? I get it. And for that, 5 big booms. You know what? 5 big booms to Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5. Did I give a fuck about him being stuck in space? Not really. But he made a good book. It's a good book. But yeah. Oh, yeah, that little excerpt about that guy Campbell made, that was so good, bro. Like, the fact that I also don't like that it's written by a guy who was on the sides of the very bad people, but his analysis of America, tell me why that hit so hard on 2025. Mind you, I was reading this, I think, actually on Inauguration Day. And like I said, it's January 2025, so you know exactly who's being inaugurated. So his analysis on Americans and how majority of America is composed or comprised of poor people or middle class people, and there's like the 1% who's like actually rich, but how the poor people have such disdain for other poor people, and how they're kind of like bootlickers to the 1%. So good. What is it? Yeah, it's on page 164. I don't know if it's actually yeah, it's too long to read, but that analysis is so good. The inward blame has been a treasure for the rich and powerful who have had to do less for their poor, publicly and privately, than any other ruling class since, say, Napoleonic times. Many novelties have come from America. The most startling of these, a thing without precedent, is a mass of undignified poor. They do not love one another because they do not love themselves. Once this is understood, the disagreeable behavior of American enlisted men in German prisons ceases to be a mystery. And I think I'll end it at that. That's crazy. Learn to love your neighbor. Learn that, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. That's all I've got to say. Learn to have empathy and to be aware and stay aware and yeah, be kind. So that's all I have to say on Slaughterhouse 5. This one wasn't nearly as infuriating as Magnolia Parks, and it's also not as long, which is why I don't have much to say. Like, so I think that's it. That's all I've got to say on the books that I've read so far. We shall see what is next. I don't know. I kind of want to read another intellectual book. Did I even say that? So like another intellectual book, because I've spent so much time reading a lot of nonsense, Akutar, which I enjoyed, but I kind of want to like get back into reading something of substance that makes me think. So I feel like we need a lot of people to start thinking more. And yeah, I stand by that. I think everyone should think a little more and love a little more. And I think I've been very repetitive with that point. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys soon. And it might be with another book review, or it might be with a little update of things that I have going on, or it might be with, I don't know, we shall see what I come up with. Ooh, maybe some ASMR, because I kind of do like doing that kind of stuff, so we can do that. But yeah, for now, I shall see everyone soon. Bye bye.